Life as Ceremony shares personal stories, interviews with inspirational souls, and practical wisdom to help you reconnect with yourself and spirituality. Welcome back to another episode of Life as Ceremony. Today we have Shayna Thomas joining us. She's an Anishinaabe woman from Kinistin Saulteaux First Nation. She's also a yoga teacher, trainer, and educator, and the creator of Seven Teachings Wellness. Thank you for joining us today, Shayna.
Thanks so much, Sam. I'm excited to be here and to have a really good conversation with you today. And thank you to the listener for listening along and for being here as well.
Yeah. Are you ready for some rapid fire and some this or that questions?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Sunrise or sunset?
Ooh, sunrise. I love being up in the morning. It's a
Yeah,
good feeling.
me too. Cozy night in or spontaneous adventure?
Cozy night in. Easy, hands down.
Speaking my language. Okay. Sweet or savory foods?
Mm, probably sweet.
Sweet. Do you have a favorite?
Mm, it's so bad for me, but every once in a while I like ice cream. So bad.
Love it. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Dogs. And you have a
I love
dog.
cats too. I have my little Mahi here. She might join.
Mahi.
She's
Chief is
snoozing.
Chief is like asleep right. No, his eyes are open. He's right behind me right now. Oh my gosh. Look at
Aw,
look.
good medicine. Oh, there she is.
She's
Want to
awake.
say hi?
For any
Dogs, but I love cats too.
Yeah, all animals, hey? Yeah. What is the best book you've ever read, or maybe just a book you've read recently that really stands out to you?
That's a good question. I say one that was really impactful for me, and I often recommend to others because it's a nice, simple read, is The Four Agreements
Mm.
by Miguel Ruiz.
Hmm. Nice. Yeah. And do you
It's a
have
good
a
one.
favorite quote or words to live by?
Favorite quote? I guess words to live by, something that really helps me and is simple but is easy to forget at times with life going on is to just be grateful,
Mm.
practice gratitude, and yeah, that usually sorts out the rest.
I love that. I often think the simplest things are the most profound, and I love the simplicity of just like, words to live by, or you just wisdom to live by of coming back to gratitude. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, so important.
Yes. So you created Seven Teachings Wellness. Can you tell us more about it and what you offer and just sort of what brought you? Feel free to share the whole journey of like what brought you to where you are and what you're doing now.
Sure. So, Seven Teachings Wellness is a culmination of my hard work, the tools, the strategies, the tips that truly have just helped me on my own journey. And I'm passionate about sharing this stuff because they've done so much for me, and I witness how these tools, simple tools that we all have access to, like the breath, like fun movement, joyful movement, these tools have done so much for me, and I'm so passionate about sharing them with others. So through Seven Teachings Wellness, I'm able to pass along some of these tools and tips, and then have the participants hone in on what tools kind of fit in their toolbox or fit in their medicine wheel because wellness isn't one size fits all. So, as an educator, I love to share these tools, and I always say, take the best, leave the rest. With that being said, the seven teachings, the core values of the seven grandfather teachings guide the work that I do. So, love, respect, honesty, truth, wisdom, humility, and courage. So, these seven teachings as an Anishinaabe woman, they're part of my worldview, but they also are a tool to guide the workshops, the offerings that I have through Seven Teachings Wellness as well. With that being said, I love to work in person. I love to work with youth, with teachers, and teaching education is key to my heart because that's kind of where my story began and my vocation began is with teaching K to 3. So, with that experience, I've seen these tools help myself as a person, as a woman, as a teacher, but also seen how these tools can help young people. I worked with kindergartens, pre-kindergartens who are 3 years old that, also get the medicine from breath, from moving the body, from expression, from creativity. So, with all that, I'm just like, there's so much I love to share, so much I'm passionate about sharing. And through this opportunity, Seven Teachings Wellness, I'm able to share this passion, share this knowledge with others. And I always come back to my teachers who've passed this knowledge along to me. And I'm so grateful. And I would like to just express a moment here to thank all the teachers that have shared this knowledge with me, my yoga teachers, the people I'm in relationship with, because we're all just helping each other on earth and we're all just passing along what we can. And I'm just really grateful I have the opportunity to share what I can when I can. And through Seven Teachings Wellness, I can do that.
Yeah, beautiful. So your vocation starting as a teacher, K to 3, and just your worldview as an Anishinaabe woman already being informed by the seven grandfather teachings was probably really natural for you to share that, like with your students. And then from there, was there ever a pivotal moment where you were like, I need to develop this into something more to share with more people or just to share in a different way? Because right now, are you still teaching K to 3 or focused fully on seven teachings wellness? And yeah, yeah.
Yeah, currently I'm fully focused on Seven Teachings Wellness, but I am very blessed that I do get to work a lot with students, with youth in schools to share these tools. But I get to also work with teachers and administration to share these tools for their own medicine wheel. I understand the challenges, in every vocation, but being a teacher, I understand the challenges of teaching and being able to share these tools. I still get that my cup being fed by being in the education world. I would say a pivotal moment for myself was a health wake up call that I had one day when I was teaching pre-K. And it was interesting and it was kind of a shock to me because on the surface, on the exterior, it looked like I was living a really healthy life. And I was practicing these tools, but deep down, the intention wasn't aligned. And there was still a mismatch in how I was in the world. So one day I was doing assessments on a 3-year-old and teaching in a colonial institution. I already had some friction with, how many assessments we were collecting for these 3-year-old kids who just want to play. And while I recognize the importance of data and data collection, this was just one area of colonial education that I did have a mismatch in. Um, this mismatch was also found in my life with my own wellness practices that were kind of just band-aids on top of some deeper healing that I needed to do. I used to practice self-love by just loving the happy parts of myself, the quote unquote good parts of myself. But I've come to learn that self-love is really getting curious about all parts of ourselves and accepting all parts of ourselves and loving all parts of ourselves. And it wasn't until I could see and accept all parts of myself that, I still had that friction. So, anyways, one day as I was collecting assessments, I started to notice my whole world kind of come inward. My arm started to get numb. I looked down and I noticed that my arm was moving, but I couldn't mentally feel my arm move. I was saying, Arm, stop moving, arm, move," but I had no connection. Thankfully, I had an EA who was close by, so I yelled out for help because I had no clue what was going on. It was so foreign and new to me, these feelings that I was feeling. My heart started to race because my arm was numb, and because when I called out for my EA, I made sounds, but the words wouldn't come together. Because of this experience, thank Creator it wasn't, but I thought I was having a stroke.
Hmm.
It turns out that that was my first panic attack that I had, that my body was kind of telling me, this is a wake-up call. We have these practices that you're doing as band-aids, but getting back to the basics and the foundations of healthy living, and not just based on the colonial hustle, always getting better, doing better model, but one that was more balanced and aligned with my worldviews. Getting to that place and having that wake up call really allowed me the time and the space to reflect on what's working and what's not working. And I ended up teaching for um, a couple more years. I love teaching, I love education, I love working with youth. So um, I ended up teaching for a couple more years. And then, as life and luck and opportunity would have it, entrepreneurship came into my life, and here I am still able to teach and educate and learn from others, because when we share knowledge, we also receive so much in that experience. I'm able to fill up that cup, but also teach the things that have really turned my life around and have really supported me, like selfishly have supported me in my journey. That's why I'm so keen to share these with others, and also recognizing that something that works for me might not work for you, but I do believe that the foundations, the basics, movement, rest, nourishment, sleep, gratitude, connection, these are things that we all can benefit from. And intention with that too.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us and what you went through, and even just hearing you talk about that. And I think a lot of people listening can relate to the shock in having that first panic attack and not knowing what it is at the time. And something
Mhm.
that resonates with me so much that you're speaking about is what true wellness is. And I think for me, true wellness includes spirituality. And I think that we think we're doing it right. But but I think our world is actually really spiritually deprived and spiritually disconnected with what I think you're speaking to of some of these band-aid stuff, band-aid things, right? And just loving all parts of ourself. True wellness is wholeness. And it's not to exile parts of ourself or hate parts of
Mhm.
ourself, but really I always talk about welcoming everyone to the party and just getting curious of like sitting with each part of ourself in that party and getting to know them, because there is no bad or wrong. And yeah, rather than approaching ourselves or anybody else with a bunch of criticism, just curiosity and how much more we can receive when we move through life in that way. Hearing you talk about wellness and intention, I would love to hear more of your thoughts about, and maybe this speaks to your journey of what you've learned about wellness, what you feel like true wellness is, and and then I want to have a conversation with you about intention, because I feel really passionate about intention and think it's important, but I'll ask that after. So tell me more about, yeah, wellness.
Sure. So, wellness for me, or what I've come to learn about wellness, is, as shared, it's not a one size fits all approach, which is the beautiful thing about it. Another beautiful thing about wellness is that there are many, many, many ways to practice connecting with yourself, to practice connecting with others, to practice gratitude, to practice movement, to practice nourishing your vessel, mind, body, spirit. Um, so, with that being said, wellness is also kind of like a trial and error, or has been for myself, trying some of these practices that, initially work maybe in one season of my life, but then, as we evolve, as life ebbs and flows, maybe not so much in the next season. So, wellness used to be very rigid to me. My morning routine had a lot more rigidity in it, but now I approach it with more of a flexible balance, still honoring and recognizing that routine is so important for me, and it's how I can thrive. With the absence of routine, I can really feel just how much it's missing in my life. So instead of being a rigid model, I've moved to more of a balance, go with the flow model, where, like we said, we bring more intention to that, but also not just focusing on one aspect. So in the West here, we can often focus on the physical and now the mental, and it's all connected. So we have these different quadrants or silos or areas, but it is all connected. With that being said, we can bring more intention to each aspect of self and how we are filling up those aspects of self for our own journeys, for our own self-love cups basically. So instead of just physical, thinking about mental, emotional, and spiritual. And for myself, for example, doing a check-in with those four quadrants of the medicine wheel has been instrumental in guiding my wellness journey. Like you said, spirituality is sometimes missing, or we have these things that maybe surface level or superficially fill up that aspect. Um, but yeah, there's many different ways to practice filling up each aspect of self and being intentional with each quadrant. But it takes experience, it takes reflection. That's another key pillar in my wellness routine is reflecting on, what's going well, what's not. And again, a recognition that that data collection is important and without, stopping in life and thinking, hey, where can I pat myself on the back? Where do I want to explore more, grow more? And of course, with a compassionate lens for self, um, that can help drive wellness as well. As an Anishinaabe woman, wellness as I've grown as well and matured has also meant learning more about that aspect of me and learning more about my language and learning about the language, expanding your worldview and, in turn, wellness as well. But I think for me, wellness is what we can each do. And it's our responsibility so we can keep ourselves our happiest, healthiest, most well. Because when we do care for ourselves, we care for all of our relations, being as we're all connected um, in Oindu and in Soto, like we're kinship, we're all related. So when we do take care of ourselves, we take care of others in turn. In yoga, there's also the idea as well that we're all connected. So it's beautiful to see the parallels and these truths amongst different worldviews. But wellness is taking care of ourselves so we can be the best for ourselves, but for our relations as well. And there's so much more I could share. It's so multifaceted, but yeah, that's initially where wellness means to me kind of sparks.
Well, I just want to say you're doing a beautiful job at sharing because just listening to you, I feel so inspired. And I also believe, individual healing is collective healing, and there is this ripple effect, and we are all connected. And yeah, I'm so curious. Can you share with listeners an example of how you take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? And maybe you have an example for each quadrant, even though they also are all connected.
Yeah, I would say my yoga practice is a pillar that does hit all four quadrants. But a piece of that yoga practice, or maybe I'll kind of share little bits of it each. So, movement medicine, moving the body, we've all felt, how good it's felt to have a little bit of movement, even when we wake up. We're a little bit stiff, you roll the shoulders, the neck, the back. It feels so good. So, that movement medicine really primes the vessel so that we can, like, honestly, just move in a more efficient way, release energy. And it can be something as simple as dancing around, moving the body in a ways, jumping up and down, but releasing this energy that sometimes we don't know what to do with it. Just move. So physically, movement medicine, particularly, I love yoga asana. So the shapes that we make with our bodies in yoga, the stretches, mobility, but also lifting weights. Um, Physical, emotionally, something that is a big value of mine is family. So making sure that I'm connected to family, whether that's checking in with FaceTimes, with calls, with texts, sending the odd meme, that kind of thing, but making sure that my connection to family remains strong. Spiritually, something that I like to do to keep me grounded and just, yeah, even just the smell of it is a reminder of gratitude, is smudging. So being on the road, I really try, I have it right here, little smudge kit with me. And yeah, smudging, a great way to honor yourself, honor creator, honor life, express gratitude, give thanks for what you have, but also what's on its way. Thanks for things that are already, kind of happening behind the surface. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually. I'm really into podcasts right now, reading. I, what else? Yeah, podcasts and reading. I love watching podcasts as well, treadmill sessions, that kind of thing. Trying to think. You know what? This is a good one as well. Reflection is so key and important. And something that came to mind that I missed that's not in my practice right now as much is journaling. So this is a good reminder to pop out the journal more. And I journaled the other day, but it's something that as well can help us release some of this energy, some energy in the headspace as well. And yeah, it's a good reminder to open up my journal more. But yeah,
Yeah.
those are some practices. And when I do share in workshops, I will typically go through each aspect of self and say, spiritual. Here's a list of 20 things that you could do. I don't do
Yeah.
all these 20 things, but these are 20 things you could do. What's interesting to you? And go from there. Spiritual, emotional, physical, all the aspects. Um, we don't know what we don't know in a lot of these practices. I didn't know until someone told me about it. EFT tapping, I didn't know that was a thing until I saw it for the first time. So trying to share as many modalities, I guess, as I can, um, while staying within my scope and then allowing others to, like I said before, double click, hone in on what is interesting to them and what might also fit within their already um, like what they already have as a routine or lifestyle or values.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that speaks to what you were sharing about different things work for different people. But here's kind of a foundation because physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, there's something within every one of those quadrants that's for someone. That it's not that a certain quadrant wouldn't be for you. It's just a matter of looking at what's in each one that does resonate with us. And just this whole, like, really the word is wholeness, this approach to wellness. And I loved hearing you speak about
Mhm.
how for you, sharing a meme or FaceTiming or staying in connection or in relationship, that's an aspect of wellness. And I think that in our world and society and with colonization, we, think wellness, we associate it so strongly with the word fitness that we
Mhm.
forget that, FaceTiming a friend or family member, that's also a really important aspect of what true wellness is and taking care of ourselves in all the ways from, yeah, from journaling to making phone calls to yoga to getting in the gym. I also love how you touched on yoga is one thing in your practice that really encompasses all four of those quadrants for
Mhm.
you because I often feel that way about yoga nidra, or sometimes I think about
Mhm.
all these different types of rest, even like sensory rest or creative rest. And for me, yoga nidra meditation, that's a practice for me that really kind of checks all of those boxes, or I feel and experience wholeness through that practice. And it sounds like you experience a lot of wholeness through yoga and how it touches on all of that for you. Yeah. I'm curious.
Definitely, yeah.
I'm curious that as an Indigenous woman and a yoga teacher, how you weave those two worlds together in a way that feels authentic to you and what helps you stay grounded in both because these are different cultures and yeah, you kind of walk in both worlds. So how do you hold all of that?
I think one thing that I do when being mindful of the weaving is maybe not so much, it is a weaving, but it's also looking at the two different worldviews, or the many worldviews, and drawing the parallels between. And I think it's beautiful when you can, for example, with yoga philosophy and Indigenous worldview, and I'll speak specifically to the Anishinaabe background and worldview. There's many parallels between Indigenous nations and cultures, but I just want to also recognize that there are differences. So I do want to speak on um, what I can represent and what I can. So with the Anishinaabe worldview and the yoga worldview, it's interesting to see the parallels, the teachings that are among both. So in let's just take the seven grandfather teachings. We have love. Where in yoga philosophy, we have ahimsa, non-harming, so a direct parallel. We have honesty and truth, or yeah, honesty and truth. And in yoga philosophy, the yama asatya, truthfulness, teaches us that. We can go on, respect, santosha, contentment, respect for life, so on and so forth. And when we draw these parallels, it's really interesting because a lot of people start to realize that they've been yogis. They've been practicing yoga, something like ahimsa, non-harming, not just of ourselves, but non-harming of the land. What ways are people practicing that they're actually practicing yoga as well? So I love to share these parallels because it can act as an entryway for people to think, oh, well, maybe this yoga thing might be for me. Because I do also recognize in the West, we have a very narrow-minded idea of what yoga is and a very, tip of the iceberg idea of what yoga all encompasses. And truthfully, the more that I learn about yoga and the different lineages and the different aspects of yoga, the more I learn. I'll never learn it all. There's so much, we'll keep learning about it. So it's important to respect the roots, to honor the roots as we're drawing these parallels. We don't want to ever erase um, one or the other, but drawing parallels, I think, is important in the weaving. So with the seven teachings, we can really draw parallels. Um, what else?
Can we also just like pause and take a moment for like everything you just shared? Because it was so powerful and so beautiful. And I think that
No.
as just, yeah, someone listening to that, I wonder if people listening to this are having their own awakening or insight of, wow, I'm already living yoga. Or, oh, she's, speaking like that's yoga, of that
Yeah.
epiphany, that moment, that insight. Yeah.
Even the simple practice of taking a deep breath, and I'll invite everyone to take a deep breath with me right now. So you might place a hand on the stomach, hand on the chest. Relax the shoulders. In through the nose, belly goes big, ribs expand, chest lifts. Exhale, release from the chest. Drop the shoulders, belly goes hard. One more together. In through the nose, belly big, ribs expand, chest lifts. Exhale, release from the chest, the ribs, the belly. So, together, this guided three-part breath is a simple tool that we can use in traffic. We can use while waiting in line. And in fact, our body knows when we need this. Every once in a while, we might just take a deep breath or let out a good sigh because our body knows that this is medicine. This is so good for us. And, we can also bring a little bit of intention into that. And yeah, yoga's done so much for me. I invite the listener to try. The invitation is there. Yeah, it just might change your life as much as it's changed mine. And it's always there if you ever want to come back to it. And yeah, thank you, Sam, for the kind words.
Yeah, thank you for guiding us through that, like live in spontaneously in the moment, because it, I think it's so important and powerful. And like what we just practiced together was yoga, was ceremony. It is just really about living with presence and intention. And we are going to come back to intention at some point. But there's this quote by Richard Wagamese. I can't remember the exact quote, but the essence of it is if you're breathing, you're in ceremony. Like you're already invited, you're
Mm,
already here. Like life is a ceremony. It's, I mean, the title of the podcast and the essence of the work that I share, that which I think you're speaking to so beautifully, of, it's not always about rolling out your mat and carving out 90 minutes for like an asana practice. It's when you're in traffic. It's when you are
mm.
connected to your breath. Like this is ceremony. This is living yoga off the mat. Also, I just need to tell listeners that Shayna has an amazing YouTube channel filled with yoga practices, Seven Teachings Wellness.
Thank
So
you.
her invitation to practice yoga, if you're looking for somewhere to go, you can check her out on YouTube. Yeah, yeah,
Thanks, Sam. And
yeah.
yeah, I think it's so important to break down wellness, break down ceremony, so people realize, I am doing a good job. Life can
Mhm.
be hard and we can be our own worst critics. So I think self-compassion is another key pillar in wellness because without that love for self, yeah, we might. grow in the short term, but without that energy of love and acceptance for self, that change won't be sustainable and won't grow with us as we grow. So, yeah,
Mhm.
it's so important to just take a moment too and think about, all the great things that you already are doing. Wellness isn't, like you said, just rolling out the mats 90 minutes. It can be the simple things, and oftentimes those simple foundational things are just as impactful, if not more so.
Absolutely. Yeah. What does intention mean to you, or yeah, can you share with us about living with intention and the importance of it?
I think as humans, it's easy to be distracted and to not live with intention. But when we do live with intention, we kind of live with more empowerment, more say, more guidance as to how we want our world, our experience, our journey to be. And while life will give us experiences to carve out that journey regardless, I think having intention can really be empowering to have us have more say in what we're doing in life, but also in how we are being in life. I think intention as well is a great way to honor this gift of life, and it can be so easy to forget the sacred energy of every moment we
Mhm.
have. As humans, we have to pay taxes. So we have things like that that distract us and take us out of the beautiful spiritual aspect of life. And the human experience is beautiful in the way that it teaches us, and we get to experience all these amazing things. And through intention, we can really drive this vessel, this car that we're in, to where we want to be. And is a great way to practice gratitude, not just one time at night, these are the five
Yeah.
things I'm grateful for, but gratitude as a way of living and gratitude throughout life. So
Mhm.
it's being in the state of gratitude and not having a one time tick off the box gratitude practice. And intention can do that by allowing us to be more grateful.
Mhm. Beautiful. And I love that you shared the word empowerment, because I think that intention really does allow us to live an empowered life because it connects us with our truth. I think more often, when we are on autopilot, just going through the motions of life, that's kind of when we're not living with intention. And it doesn't feel as good because we're not connected. We're not connected with what we're doing or who we're in relationship with. And
Mm.
all that needs to be different is the intention. Sometimes I share with people that it's not always like we don't need to do things in our life differently. We just need to look at them or think about them differently. And that's intention.
Yeah,
It's like you don't need to, change your whole routine or change your life, especially to live a spiritual life. It's really about taking what is already there and just looking at it differently. And I believe that in itself, that is empowering, because then people start to feel the agency and autonomy and connection behind what they're doing. Yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
I even love the example of going to the gym. You can go to the gym with the intention to change yourself because you don't like yourself. You can go with that friction, that energy of maybe shame or self-hatred, or you can change the intention and go to the gym because you want to celebrate yourself and what you can do. You want to move. You recognize that, moving now can help me move later, that kind of thing. So it's the same thing. You're
yeah,
literally doing the same thing, but the energy, the intention around it can totally change the energy, and that energy can totally change the experience. And that one little experience, like it's all connected, can change another aspect of your life. So, yeah, I think it's so important. And also want to recognize too, as humans, we go on autopilot sometimes, and rest is important. I think it's important for ourselves individually to find a balance of taking rest, taking breaks sometimes with, still with intention.
hmm
Um, and yeah, that can be just so key in the energy around rest as well,
oh,
which has been, yeah,
absolutely.
so healing for myself just to embrace rest with a loving attitude instead of that energy of shame or I should be doing more, all these things. So yeah, intention is everything.
Yeah, beautiful. And, I think what you were speaking to about how it allows you to practice and like live gratitude, like gratitude is a way of living and being. uh, I think that intention, when you talk about how it shifts an experience and the energy, I really believe that's what changes our whole life. Because when you
Mhm.
start to do things with intention that make you feel that sense of embodied gratitude, I mean, your whole life changes. And it's just this,
Exactly.
yeah, thank you for walking us through just this beautiful ripple effect from like, yeah, I wonder if anyone's at the gym listening to this right now and being like, huh,
You got
okay,
this.
yeah, I'm gonna totally shift how I make some, maybe they're driving to the gym. No, I love
Mhm.
it. I'm curious, what is one piece of wisdom from seven teachings, but also it could be anything. What is a piece of wisdom you lean into when things get hard?
I say, and I always come back to this, is the teaching of love. And
Mm.
it's the foundational teaching for a reason. So I often find for myself and, just in conversation with others, when times are difficult, I'm often in a fear or a lack mindset. Whereas having this awareness about our mindset, we're all humans, we all think like this sometimes, but having awareness can help us step out of that lack into gratitude. And love is one teaching that can really do that. And an extension of love is compassion. So when times are getting hard, having compassion for myself and, understanding that all humans go through ups and downs, all humans feel the ebbs and flows of life, all humans, even though I feel alone in these feelings sometimes, they feel the same thing or very similar things, different but similar experiences. So that love and compassion can help me to embrace whatever season of life that I'm in that might be challenging and reminds me to move from that fear, which I might have been focusing on, into love. And oftentimes, for myself, having in the past panic attacks, anxiety, I often find moving towards love and away from our fears, which are often also just made up fears, worries about the future that we're just making up in our brains. Like an infinite amount of things can happen, and we're choosing to focus on one thing. So, moving away from whatever fear it is to love for self, for this journey. For this experience, for the creator energy within each of us, that can help me just get the medicine I need when life is difficult or life is challenging me and having me grow in different ways ultimately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that compassion being an extension of love and showing yourself that when you're going through a hard time is just a powerful reminder we all needed. Because
And
so
also
often,
too,
go
sorry,
ahead.
Sam, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, that compassion and empathy, it's beautiful when we feel that for ourselves, we can extend that for others and vice versa. Um, but it does really help, focusing on love. It does help you be a better relation because you can empathize better, you can relate better, you can listen better, and that kind of thing
Mm-hmm.
to yourself and others.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when we are going through a hard time, what makes it harder is when we're hard on ourselves about it.
Tell
when
me about it.
when literally we need the exact opposite. We need that softness, that kindness, that love, that compassion that allows us to move through and transform, transmute that hard time. And often it is just turning towards the pain or allowing ourselves to be in it. Speaking to what you said,
Mm,
just, yeah, it's part of the human experience and ebbs and flows, and just holding ourselves and others with the compassion is what will get us through it. It's not being hard on ourselves about it to fix or solve or get us out of it? Yeah.
definitely. And what a good reminder to also just, sit with it, whatever it is. Um, that friction, not allowing yourself to sit with it really extends you being in that space. And whereas if you're able to sit with it accept it, maybe process in your own way, journal, cry, move, shake, stomp, scream, whatever it is. There's so many things we can do to release. Um, but yeah, it's knowing ourselves and how much we need to sit with it individually so we can move through it, the tools in our toolbox to help us move through with a little bit more ease and applying what choice and what autonomy we can to drive that situation as well. And also important to note that oftentimes, we can't do this on our own. So, um, asking for help has been a huge lesson in my life and something that has taught me a lot too. And yeah,
Yeah.
so important to reach out to others.
Yeah. Do you have any guidance for people who struggle to feel love or to let love in?
Yeah, and for myself, and like I feel like I haven't always been in a place where I've loved myself. Um, if initially it's hard to love yourself, just accept where you're at. You know, the past happened. This moment in time where we are at right now, it just is what it is, right? We can kind of zoom out, observe with a neutral attitude and just see, where we at. Let's just accept first. With time, it's really hard to move from hatred right away to love. So with time, maybe we move from that hate energy to acceptance. Over time, maybe that acceptance to, I like myself. I'm having fun with myself. I'm enjoying this. And then ultimately love. And another key thing with self-love for myself has been to look at the parts I've been hiding or parts that I deem as bad, quote unquote, and just loving those aspects of myself as well and recognizing that that is part of the human experience. We all have all these different parts, and um, true full self-love is fully accepting and loving all parts of self and continuing to practice this because life will give us experiences that might harm that self-love. And as humans, we might doubt sometimes, we might lose belief sometimes, but continuing to practice that self-love can get us back on that journey. And spirituality has been a key pillar in my life and in my understanding that creator essence, that energy, that ultimate beautiful being, that essence. Oh, I'm getting emotional. That essence is within all of us. And when life has experiences where it's harder to love yourself, we can lean on that essence and love that essence within us, but also lean on that essence for support, for guidance. I believe that we do have support that's not seen, but can be felt. Ancestral support, creator support, our future ancestors' support as well. So, yeah, I think that ultimately my tips in this area would be to accept first, love all parts. All parts can teach us, get curious about all parts of ourselves, and yeah, hone in, rely on that creator energy. Some people call best self, higher self, that kind of thing. But we all have that knowing, that wisdom, that guidance within us. It's in our busy lives, myself included, when we don't slow down, that we might miss the messages and we might miss the, oh, my ear just started ringing. We might miss it's a reminder, I gotta slow down.
Yeah.
We might miss these reflections or guidance or messages that are all around us all the time. We just sometimes don't see them or hear them.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think what I'm hearing about the message of love is as much as it is a teaching, it's also a practice. and a lifelong practice. And I just really love what you shared about for anyone who's struggling to like let love in or feel that essence of love, that's okay. And just meet yourself where you're at. And that, in my opinion, is the practice of love, is meeting yourself where you're at or meeting yourself in the moment.
Mm,
And
it's beautiful.
that creator energy and essence that you talk about and your relationship with creator, I think a lot of folks are exploring their spirituality or their spiritual connection. And for someone who is maybe struggling or like wants a relationship with creator, that essence that you feel, do you have any guidance for them if they're saying, I'm looking for that in my own life?
Yeah, I think it's important to know that this is a very, very unique and individual experience for everybody, but something that could be helpful is sitting and talking, saying, "Hey, this is what I have going on in my life." Expressing, gratitude, what's going good. But you can also say, "I'm struggling with this," and just sitting with it. Sometimes when you put the intention, just put it out there, literally, and just sit, just be still. There's going to be the human mind that's going to think about, what's going on next? What am I having for supper? What do I all need to do? My to-do list, all that thing. But if we can train ourselves to come back to the breath, then we'll start to build that connection with self and that guidance elsewhere. Also, spirituality can be felt in so many ways. For example, with movement, sometimes I feel my most spiritual and alive after movement, where I can feel my heart beating, where I can feel just how good it feels to have this human experience and grateful to be alive. So, spirituality and the blessings of it can come in many different ways. But I think if someone's starting, just slowing down and starting that conversation, maybe it's journaling, maybe you frame it in a different way. Maybe you're talking to ancestral support. Maybe it's creator, and maybe it's an angel. Whatever it is for you, I believe that if you believe it will work for you, it will work for you. Um, and that's the beautiful thing about spirituality as well, is that whatever you decide will be part of your journey. It will. And like I've said before, maybe it's there for a season, maybe it evolves and your relationship will continue to evolve. But yeah, I would say to start that conversation, slow down, find, you know, 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes in the day to find some slowness, to find some stillness. Um, Sometimes even just in the shower, we get those really great shower thoughts. That's another example of, turning off the logical, the thinking, the busyness, all that, so we can receive some of these teachings.
Yeah, it really is at all times, at all places, that we never know when we're going to feel that sense of connection. It really is, all of life. And it's just slowing down and paying attention. It's remembering that
Yeah,
that relationship with Creator already exists, it's already there. We just have to slow down and pay attention. Yeah.
exactly. You could be driving, kind of
Yeah.
meditating at the same time, and it comes to you. And um, yeah, I would say also just get curious, explore.
Yeah.
Something for myself that I've been very blessed and fortunate to have access to, our ceremonies, like the sweat lodge or shaking tent, that we build faith through not having the physical proof and the knowingness, but some of these experiences that I've been blessed to have, it almost is otherworldly in a way that you it opens up your eyes to how much more is out there and how much support we have, and that can be felt in many different ways, in many different experiences, and healing and growth opportunities. But um, yeah, keep exploring, keep experiencing, and those experiences over time, like you said, if we're being intentional, it's so important. Those experiences can open up that door to expand spirituality, and even just having the intent to
Hmm.
get curious will do so much to bring those opportunities into your journey.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
My final couple questions for you, Shayna. What does life as ceremony mean to you?
I think life as ceremony means just recognizing, this huge, the whole, this life. Yes, it is so sacred, it's so beautiful, but also all the different parts, all the different experiences, the threads of connections, our relationships, every breath, if we can bring that reminder that life is a ceremony in itself, like that beautiful Richard Wagamese quote, then we can bring more magic to it as well. Bring more of that energy. And we've all felt, and the contrast, is teaches us as well, but those days where we're just high on life and having awareness of, how special and sacred and amazing this life can be, can bring us into that energy of loving life, loving self, gratitude for life and self, so much more. And yes, it can be broad, it can be big, but it's beautiful that it can be the simple things as well to remind us that, this life as a whole, but also the parts is our ceremony as well.
Mm, thank you for sharing
And
that.
also, like, we all have our individual life or individual ceremony, and it's beautiful. We know best what's right for our journey. That's a beautiful aspect. And all of our journeys interconnect and weave together and in and out. And the beautiful journey, the tapestry of journeys that we're creating together is beautiful as well.
Mm, thank you for sharing that last piece of this tapestry of all of our own individual ceremonies and how they, yeah, are connected in their own way, but we are also on our own individual journeys in this lifetime.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then lastly, how can listeners find you, support you? Yeah.
Yeah, so online, on Seven Teachings Wellness, I have an Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Again, thanks for the shout out. There's meditations, breath practices, yoga asanas, chair yogas to some more spicy flows, a wide range on YouTube under Seven Teachings Wellness. You can find my website, seventeachingswellness.com. And what else? Personally, if you want to connect that way, I have an Instagram. It's me, Shayna Eileen, where I share wellness as well. And yeah, those are my little corners of the internet.
Okay. And what if someone wanted to work with you in person, or are you going into communities or schools and offering workshops or?
Yeah, for in-person workshops, you can find my email or reach out on any platform online. On my website is a great way as well to first touch base. And if you ever see me, say hi.
And you are
Well,
in
anything.
you're in Edmonton, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah,
currently in
okay.
Edmonton, but bless that work takes me all over.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for being here, for sharing your stories, your wisdom. I feel uplifted and inspired just from our conversation today. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sam. And thank you so much for listening along to the listener. You got this. Keep up all the amazing things that you're doing in your wellness journey. And yeah, maybe our paths will cross in the future. Again, thank you so much, me Gwitch. And yeah, I hope everyone has a great day. I feel like I'm signing off on a Zoom. Throwback to 2020.
I love that. I'm keeping this in the podcast episode.
Keep it,
You're the
it's
best.
good. Be
I
well,
love it.
everyone.